Standing By, the Terry and Ted podcast, is sponsored by the UPS Store Canada.
Gorgonzola. Thought I would try again. I said Gorgonzola when I came in this morning. Thought I would maybe use that as a new greeting. It made Ted laugh, and you should never go back to the well.
No, eh?
I don't think so.
Well, it was funny in the moment. If you look at our live video on the podcast Facebook feed and my Facebook feed that we used to promote the recording of the podcast, when I said to Terry, what are we going to talk about today? He said, Gorgonzola cheese.
Welcome to the Standing By podcast. This is episode number, who knows, for the 28th day of May, 2025. We had a listener to the podcast who suggested that we date mark them so that he knew where we were. And, you know, sometimes we talk about time-sensitive things.
Right.
And the nature of podcasting is you can go back and listen to an episode that we did 2 years ago. So he said, why don't you date mark him? And I thought that was a good idea.
Let's check with the expert, our executive producer and in-studio producer today, Pantelis.
Yes.
Thoughts?
I agree. And starting with this episode, we'll have a date on there. So if people look at it, I know that date.
Yeah, we usually have a thumbnail up, Pantelis, but I know you, because you're filling in for Matthew. There's usually a thumbnail up on the screen with a date.
Oh, is that what he does? Okay.
Yeah, but no worry about. I just did it. Anyway,
I'm going to put it in the actual title so people see it.
How is Matthew? He went to Lebanon. Has he joined Hezbollah or what's going on exactly?
Oh, he's dead. I forgot to tell you guys, he died a week and a half ago. Okay.
Yeah, when he said, I'm going on holidays, and Ted said, where are you going? He said, Lebanon. We thought, time for a new travel agent.
Yeah, seriously.
he's got family there, and he's promised.
And he says that where he's going is relatively safe.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Standing By podcast is brought to you by the UPS Store Canada, with over 400 locations across the country. Surely to God, there's one near you, no matter where you're listening. And I say this every couple of weeks. Just pick a town: Brandon, Drumheller, Moose Jaw,
Pictou. Pictou's a county.
Pictou is Pugwash.
Pugwash. Well, I wonder if there's one in Pugwash, Nova Scotia. Yeah. I know that's where Anne Murray's cottage is.
Is that right?
She's
in
got
Pugwash?
A nice log cabin in Pugwash.
I'm sure she uses UPS because she's, a very famous lady. Yeah. Well, her assistants probably use the UPS.
Yeah, she uses UPS or a snowbird sort of carrier pigeon type of affair. Boy, that's a stretch. Back to you.
I see you trying to make the connection.
It short-circuited, though.
Anyway, the UPS Store Canada, over 400 locations across the country. If you don't know what a UPS store does, it makes your life easier. There is a person from your community who's an entrepreneur themselves because they own the franchise near your house. So if you run a small business, they can be very helpful and very understanding about the challenges that you face. If you're moving in Montreal, July is moving season and you run out of boxes like I did last year, head on over to the UPS store. They can look after that, help you with packing, everything from tape to labels to packing peanuts. You can even get your passport picture taken there. Or you can get yourself a mailbox if you don't want stuff arriving at your home, or you're, running some clandestine affair business. I don't know what it is. They can help you. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. They can help solve.
And you don't even
problems.
have to kill them after.
And if you go to the website, you can find their business blog, a small business blog, which is very, very helpful. The upsstore.ca.
Let me address my shirt.
I was just going to say, can we open with your shirt?
We better, because I don't want people to be who are watching on YouTube to be going, holy shit, get a load of this guy.
If you're watching on YouTube, you may not be able to see it. Pantelis is going to make sure you can. And if you've downloaded the podcast, there is a picture, kind of Ted, a muscle-bound, cigar-smoking, sunglass-wearing man in a white T-shirt, and it says, Ted Bird, the man, the myth, the legend.
A longtime listener, Paula Herrera, made that shirt and brought it to Cardinal Brewing in Hudson, where I was doing a comedy show this past Sunday night, and she said, I made this for you. And I said, well, if you could go to all that trouble to make it for me and then to track me down and give it to me, I'm going to wear it on the podcast. And it's a nice soft cotton.
Nice.
And I like the likeness of me on the front
because
it's a lot better looking than me.
I was just going to say it looks a little more muscle bound than you are.
Yeah.
What's the word I'm looking for? That characterization of you. Caricature of you looks like like you could be a bouncer at a bar. You're going to kick the shit out of somebody.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen in real life.
No.
But that was very nice of you, Paula.
That was lovely.
And I appreciate it.
You must have appreciated that.
Well, sure,
It's a kind complimentary.
Yeah, and like I say, a long-time listener.
Yeah.
When we were on the radio and now of the podcast as well.
Yeah. It not freaks me out, but it's still... Somebody mentioned it in the mail. We'll get to the mail later on this episode, but somebody mentioned it, that I shouldn't be surprised when people come up and talk about something that happened 30 years ago, on their high school bus and, listening to us all those years ago. What a compliment that is.
It's flattering. It's very flattering. I had another gentleman come up to me after the comedy show, Donald Chambers, and he went on at length about how much he's enjoyed our work over the years, and you're so funny, and you're smart, and I really love listening to you, and revisionist history, and just a huge fan. Sent me a Facebook friend request that night, and I accepted it, and the next morning I got a note from him that said, "Thanks, Fred." Which I assume was a typo.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. Yeah.
Thanks for accepting my friend request, Fred Bird.
Because when I'm texting you, I often, if I'm not paying attention, I often type, "Hey, Tex."
Yeah. I also, at that comedy show, the headliner was from Brockville, and I'd never met him before. And when he went up, he was saying, let's hear it for all the other comics tonight. Let's hear it for Ben and John and Tim.
Tough being famous.
Yeah.
I had a nice experience was Sunday. We were at Vancouver Airport coming home. I was in Vancouver on the weekend. That was a kind of a weird kind of a mindfuck kind of thing. I'll talk about that in a second. Anyway, I don't know if you've experienced this. I know Pantelis has experienced this. You have to board your aircraft by zone. So zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4. And they have little signs that say, if you're in zone 1, line up here. And what people do now is, because everybody is so freaked out by getting their giant pieces of luggage that they don't want to check in, everybody's fighting for bin space.
Right.
So when I got to the gate, when Jess and I got to the gate, 45 minutes before the flight, everybody had crowded with no regard to what zone they were in. It was just this massive shit show of people, and the line went all the way down the aisle, like all the way down the aisle of the airport. And I said to Jess, we're in zone 1. I'm not getting in that lineup, because all of these people, these 120 people, zone 1 is only so big.
And you fly business class, do you not?
Yeah.
You would think you could get around that.
Well, it's designed so that, if you're at the back of the aircraft, you're supposed to be in zone 2 or zone 3
well,
or
business
whatever.
class is not cheap. So if you're paying that extra money, you should not have to put up with that.
But I don't want to sound like some
Well,
kind of
no, you're not.
arsehole.
Listen, the fact is you can afford it, and it's worth spending the extra money for you.
Jess always says, when people ask us about it, she says, we don't have children. We don't have,
it's not big shot, is it? It's something that you can afford and is worth the money to you.
We choose to have that luxury, because anybody, and Pantelis will agree with this, anybody who's been to an airport in the last 15 years knows what a shit show flying is.
It's horrible. You don't have to make any excuses for what airline or what seats you choose. You didn't steal from anyone. Now, on the subject, what was the nationality of these animals that were crowding?
He's trying to get us in trouble.
I know. I have a trick.
What's
and I don't know
your
if I should say it, because then I won't be able to do it. But
okay. What?
I do this thing at the airport. No matter what my zone is, I'm getting on first. This is what I do.
Do you limp?
No. When it's, let's say it's zone 1 or whatever,
Yeah.
first class, what I do is I go and I take my boarding pass.
Yeah.
I don't use the ticket, or I take a screenshot and then I crop out everything that has zone on it, just my name and the scan. And as soon as I reach, I ask a question. I go, "Hey, sweetheart, let me ask you, the plane's full today?" And she gets distracted. She's like, "Yeah, it is." She scans it, sees my name, my passport, and lets me through. I do it every fucking time.
That's very clever.
That is a very clever trick. Anyway, I started to tell this story because of this nice man. We were standing adjacent to the pole, and I said to Jess, "We're not going to butt in. We're not going to be those people. We'll just wait until the line is gone. We know we have our seats." And I guess a guy overheard me saying that, and he said to me, "Hey, Terry, are you in zone 1?" Complete stranger. I didn't know him. I said, "Yeah." He said, "You go ahead. You can go in front of us. We're also in zone 1." And he let us in, and as we were going through the lineup, he began to say, "Are you enjoying retirement? Really enjoyed your time. We miss you, da-da-da-da-da-da." And I never got his name. But it was the kind of encounter that you and I were just talking about people who reference years and years ago. And in this case, he rescued me from a throng.
Oh, it's too bad you didn't get his name.
Yeah, I wished I would have introduced myself properly. But, when you're in a crowd and you don't want to hold up the line and, I didn't want to butt in the line. Anyway, it was, it's a thing. I don't know if you fly a lot, you know what I'm talking about. It's a thing. People just don't know how to
behave.
Yeah, really.
Be civilized.
Yeah, because
follow the rules.
Yeah, they've set up this thing so that you can get, so the airlines can organize to get everybody quickly and efficiently on the aircraft, and people are like, "Yeah, I'm not doing that."
Yeah. So tell me this. I don't fly a lot, and the next time I'm flying is in the fall. Sam Bird and I are going to go down to New York to see the Giants.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to fly. I assume it'll be a smaller commuter aircraft.
Probably.
Air Canada out of Dorval. Will I be able to take my gym bag-sized luggage as a carry-on and not have to pay a surcharge for it? Like I'm talking the size of a gym bag.
The kind of thing that you bring here to the podcast?
Well, no, that's more like a tiny, small briefcase type of affair. No, this is like a gym bag. The size
Change
of a
the
gym.
rules. So you can have that little laptop bag. That's your personal, it's called a personal item. You're allowed.
Yeah.
Anything past that is considered a carry-on. And now all carry-ons are subject to fees because they're, I don't want to say the word.
That's just a gouge.
Yeah.
That's just a gouge.
Well,
it's all that is. Because the last time I flew, I did take my gym bag as a carry-on, and I wasn't charged. And that was within the last couple of years.
It's what everybody does when I, excuse me, when I checked out of the hotel on Sunday morning. I don't go over my bill with a fine-tooth comb, but there was like, hotels now. You forget when you book a hotel and it's X amount of dollars a night. What they forget, I don't forget PST and HST or GST. I get that. Everybody has that. And then there's the tourism fee, and then there's the local tourism fee, and then there was a bunch of letters. The MHRC, and not big charges like $1.80, the MC, the BBF, so when I went downstairs to hand them my keys and say, "We had a lovely stay," I said, "Could I just ask you what these... what's MHC? What is that?" I don't know. And I said, "Well, it's on the bill. You should know."
Yeah.
And it's all kind of local whoop-de-doo, tiny clawbacks of money that they have to pay.
And if they apply it to every customer, it adds up for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
now, did you book the hotel directly? Because I use Expedia.
I think we used Expedia for this one.
And in my experience with Expedia, there are no surcharges. It's all paid for. Yeah. It's wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, well, I guess we didn't do it that way because I did get a bill, and I wanted to know about these extra charges. But, Jess was saying now that's the new thing at hotels, airlines, rent-a-cars. They all add these extra things, and they're hoping you're not going to question them. Like there's, if you rent, when I was flying in for the podcast from BC, remember I wouldn't rent a car at the Dorval airport because if you rent a car at the airport, it's an extra $100.
Yeah, that was Poseidon. Poseidon charged the extra.
That's right.
And put it in his own pocket when he was working
at
at.
How else is he going to buy those meals?
The one thing that's great at the airport now, I don't know if you noticed this, Pantelis, the new scanning machines. Fantastic. Bravo to the airports who've done this.
Vancouver had those first. I used to always get them in Vancouver, and I would love it. Just throw my thing in there. I don't like getting radiated.
Yeah. You don't have to take anything out of your bag now. These new scanning machines, they look like jet engines. And the security.
So are you talking about when you're taking your bags through security?
Yeah, you know when you used to have to take like your laptop out and take your cell phone out.
Yeah.
They don't have to do any of that anymore.
Okay.
There's a new whoop-de-doo style of security machines, and it definitely is speeding things up. Absolutely a terrific addition in Montreal that, as Pantelis points out, was first started at YVR. And Air Canada has, I want to know if you would do this, Air Canada now has something called digital ID. They use facial biometrics. If you want to, you go on your Air Canada app and you can create a facial biometric account to identify yourself. And they're setting up different lines, like separate lines for people who want to do the Face ID. You're shaking your head, eh, Pantelis? You're not in?
I hate that we're even considering this, but it is people are gonna bow to it and they're gonna do it. But it's just
that's another avenue to either A, keep closer track of you.
Yes.
You know I sound paranoid, but they could use that. You know, they.
Yeah.
Or B, or B, it also could open up another avenue for identity theft.
Yeah, I didn't go for it because I saw you've seen the signs in YVR, haven't you, Pantelis?
Yeah,
and it says it says digital ID passengers here.
And it always confused me because out of every city in Canada, that's got to be the hardest city for that to be accurate.
Because they all look the same.
Yes. I hesitated. I went on my app and I looked and I thought, no, I ain't doing that.
I got my ID. Why do I need to give you more? Why do you need my face?
Yeah.
I'm not that pretty.
Yeah.
I'm the same as you. And you see that online on a lot of different websites. Would you like this? Would you like this? Would you like this? No, I'm good.
Yeah. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
And I was there just for a wedding, and it was weird for us because if you listen to the podcast, you know the story already. We moved back. You know, when I retired, we bought a home in Langley, BC, and we lived in British Columbia for almost 4 years, and ended up not enjoying it and moved back to Quebec last July. I have not been back since then. So it was weird for me when I got back there. I know this sounds nutty, but it was weird, you know. And it was
that makes sense.
And it was beautiful.
Pantelis knows this. That's what drew you there in the first place was the physical beauty. But you have to play the tape all the way to the end.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we were talking about we were on the 11th floor of a hotel in Cole Harbour, looking across at the North Shore Mountains, watching the seaplanes take off and the cruise ships come in. And I said to Jess, this is the kind of shit that lured us here in the first place.
You didn't have any regrets, though.
None whatsoever.
Good.
None whatsoever. We were very happy to come back.
It's nice that you could go out there and enjoy it. Enjoy a few days there.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds bougie that we were able to go to Vancouver for the weekend for a wedding, but the wedding was an important one for me to be there. So I guess that's the end of my travel stories. Are you gaining a lot of points, Pantelis, flying back and forth?
I don't think I am. I have no idea how this works. They're never offering me any discounts.
Okay.
They keep telling me, you can use your points. And I click on it. It's like, we'll give you $20 off this $1,000 trip in the same country.
Yeah, you were saying, you were looking. It's expensive to fly across the country.
There's something, I don't know if it's on purpose or it's bad business, because the government complains that we don't visit Canada. Canadians don't visit Canada enough, or Quebec doesn't visit Quebec. But you look at the prices, it's way cheaper for you to fly out, not just an all-inclusive in another country. Yeah. You could go to Vegas or to L.A. For way cheaper.
Yeah, absolutely.
My flight to New York and back in September is, I think it's like $300 return.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I booked through Expedia. I got 2 nights at the Marriott Marquis in Times Square.
Yeah, know that hotel well.
And my flight for $2,100.
Wow.
So I'm spending like $800 a night on the hotel room.
Yeah.
But to me, it's, again, that's like you flying business class.
Yeah.
To me, for 2 nights, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Because, you told me the broom closet story about
Yeah.
when you and Jess went to New York.
Shit show.
At Christmas time. And I looked at some, like there were some hotels online that, brand name hotels, like, there was a Hyatt right in Midtown for a lot cheaper than that. And I looked, and the hotel pictures of the rooms look really nice. Yeah. But then I went to guest pictures, like people who actually stayed there and took pictures of the rooms. Yeah. And they were broom closets. Yeah. They were tiny little rooms. So the Marriott Marquis, 385 square feet, which is not huge.
Well,
but that's a standard. It's a good size hotel room.
Hotel room.
But and that's what you have to pay for a standard size hotel room in New York City in Midtown.
Well, hotels, like airlines, like rent-a-cars, like everything around travel now, they're all on the gouge train. They're, a very good friend of mine stayed at a hotel here in Montreal regularly, and was the kind of customer where they're like, "Oh, Mr. So-and-so, nice to see you again." And he wanted to come back in June for his son's wedding, and the regular room that he normally stays in for, regular kind of downtown Montreal price was suddenly quadrupled the price. And when he called them, they're like, "Yeah, that's the price that week because, it's, I don't know, Grand Prix."
Because it is.
Yeah. So to hell with you. We love the fact that you're a regular customer, but no. So anyway, that's anybody who travels knows that's the new reality about travel. We wanted to say congratulations to the new Speaker of the House. I was very excited for Francis.
Francis Scarpaleggia, who's the Liberal MP for Lac St. Louis, the West Island, is the new Speaker of the House of Commons.
Yep.
And was escorted to the chair.
Dragged to the chair.
Was it Monday?
Yesterday.
Yesterday as we record this. Yeah. Now, what's with the dragging to the chair? Is he supposed to be show a reluctance?
Yeah.
So it's theater.
It's House of Commons tradition,
right?
And parliamentary tradition, and also parliamentary theater, where the opposition leader and the prime minister, drag a reluctant speaker, because the speaker is the guy who's supposed to moderate the House and be the referee kind of thing.
Yeah.
And as I said in my tweet yesterday, I tweeted out congratulations to Francis. He's a good guy. He's been a longtime member of the House. He really cares about his constituents. And there's not an event he's never at.
No.
Like, he's a hard-working member of Parliament.
Yeah, he's
a
one of those,
good guy.
Yeah, he's one of those members of Parliament who gives members of Parliament a good name.
Yes.
Because he's in it to make his community a better place.
And he does.
He's not in it for the salary.
No.
He's not in it for the pension.
No.
He's in it because he cares about the community. And I see him all the time.
He's everywhere.
Yeah, I see him all the time at the Point Claire Aquatic Center. That's where I see him, because he goes to old guy Schlepper lap swim like me.
And we saw him at Ribfest.
That's right.
You know, like, he's everywhere.
Yeah.
Like all of the events that you see on Facebook.
And just a good guy, a gentleman.
He's
a real
gentleman. Yeah. A really good pick by the new government for Speaker of the House, I thought. And well, actually, it's voted on in the House of Commons, so everybody chose him, which is nice. And a quick tip of the hat to Josh Freed, who was, I don't know if you read his column, this past Saturday. He is now an officer of the Order of Montreal. Josh Freed writes a fun Saturday column that's been running in the Gazette for as long as I can remember. And he wrote a column about the ceremony where he was, I don't know, elected, appointed, given the medal, whatever, to become an officer of the Order of Montreal. It was a fun read in the Gazette last weekend, or Saturday.
Well, he's a Montreal institution.
Yeah, he's a Montreal
Josh
icon.
Freed.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if you saw this. Did you see this? I thought this was a good piece. I was glad for him. This guy's been a guest on the podcast, Paul Desbaillet.
Yep.
From the Burgundy Lion. Why Montreal soccer fans call this pub their second home. And if you're a soccer fan like I've become, the article said, Claire McQueen didn't expect to find a slice of England in the heart of Montreal until she stepped into the Burgundy Lion. Since moving to the city in 2013, the Liverpool fan has made the pub her home turf. The Burgundy Lion's been open since 2008, and Paul Devaillé is the co-owner. He was pictured in the Globe and Mail there.
He even looks British.
He does.
He's not, but that picture, it looks like he's about to say, well, you're going to have another pint then, governor.
And the last time we were at the pub, we went to watch a match.
Yeah.
Jess said, let's go to the Lion and watch a match. I forget which one it was. Paul said that pubs represent a connecting force within a community, just like sports does. And it was a really good article with national exposure in the Globe and Mail. I was really happy for him. And I forget what season he was a guest on the podcast, but we talked about the Burgundy Lion.
It was last year.
Brit and chips. Was it last year?
It was during the 2024 calendar year, I'm quite sure.
Yeah, it was a good piece in the Globe and Mail. Nice pictures, all color pictures, and a nice article about what's, I guess, become a Montreal institution. Did you just put something up there for us?
I had him up while you were talking.
Okay, fantastic.
What's Paul's favorite club? Do you know?
Yeah, I do know now. I
can't
forget.
remember?
Let's just see. I'd like to know the answer to that question because...
If only there was some kind of an electronic information portal that we could consider. Well, no, that wouldn't be on Google, would it? What's Paul Devaillé's favorite?
So. He talked about the Goal Initiatives Foundation, which supports youth soccer development, and his own podcast that is also a show on TSN on Sunday nights, I think. Anyway, I don't have it, but he's.
It doesn't say.
It doesn't say. He's a big supporter of that club there that I can't remember. Anyway, nice article on the Burgundy Lion. If you've never been, it's on Notre Dame. Right across from two of the most famous restaurants in the world, Liverpool and Joe Beach. Joe Beach.
Terry's hammered.
At the corner of Notre Dame and Whoop-de-Doo. So I thought I would mention that too. Shall we mention Sugar Sammy before I talk about some of the... I thought we would talk about some of the goings-on in this city that are coming up, but Sugar Sammy would be one of those people.
Yeah, he'll be a going-on. He'll be a going concern from Wednesday, June 18th through Sunday, June 22nd. Sugar Sammy has 7 shows, English-only shows. Scheduled beginning on Wednesday, June 18th. Only one of them is sold out, and that is on the Saturday, June 21st, the early show is sold out. Other than that, still tickets available, although the count is getting low for some of the shows. Thursday, June 19th, Friday, June 20th, early and late shows, tickets still available, as well as Sunday the 22nd. You can go to sugarsammy.com.
That's one of the things I love about his website. Tickets, you see on the website that tickets are low for a particular show, meaning Act Now. And it's not bullshit, by the way.
No, it's not.
Because his tickets do sell very, very quickly.
Yeah, and it's right there on the website homepage. As soon as you log on, the shows are listed. And it looks like the Gatineau shows in late June are sold out.
Not surprised.
Yeah, 4 of them sold out. I brought a Sammy clip.
Excellent.
So that you can get an idea, if you've never seen Sugar Sammy, of what you'll be in for.
We're putting on our headphones. You can,
for his upcoming show,
in the car, turn it up.
What's your name, sir? What? Shamshu. You look Indian, but okay, but it's a Chinese name. What is that? Shamshu. No? If someone said to you, Shamshu, you'd be like, bless you. Right? So you guys, right? Like where are you guys from? No. I don't mean Edmonton. I mean, where's your family from? Where's the DNA from? Hong Kong. All right, good. So that's near China, like China adjacent. China now. Yeah, close. It's gonna happen. They're to China, well, we're gonna be to America soon, right? He's laughing. So Shamshu, does that sound like a... What's your name? Richard, get the fuck out of here. See? But you have a Chinese name too, right? Because Richard is like your right, like your slave name. But look at these white folks. Look at how uncomfortable they are. This has to be illegal. It has to be illegal.
That's all off the top of his head. That's all crowd work. And Pantelis can tell you how hard that is.
It's not easy.
And Pantelis does it very well, as well. But that's a taste of what you'll get from Sugar Sammy. Go to his website, sugarsammy.com. Again, tickets still available for most shows that he has scheduled for Wednesday, June 18th through Sunday, June 22nd at Salle Pierre Mercure at UQAM.
Right. UQAM, it's a bastion of British tradition.
Yeah, isn't it though? I say, old chap, looking for the Sugar Sammy show.
Up the Yukon.
That's a good segue to talk about. I was looking at some of the things that are coming up in the city. I thought we haven't really talked about some of the show. Well, we talked about Alan Parsons, of course, when he was in town, and both Ted and I were lucky enough to be at that show. But I thought I would mention some of the things that are happening this week. Actually, tomorrow night, you're going to be at the Kristen Island event. And I'm going to be with my wife at Jet. Remember Jet? Remember that Australian band?
Yeah, yes, I do. Name me a song or two. I can see the album cover.
Yeah. The biggest song was that song.
She's wearing a short skirt and a long jacket.
No, that's Cake.
Yeah,
Cake?
Yeah.
What does Jet have?
Oh, people are screaming.
Let him scream.
Let him scream. Yeah. Jet is they're an Australian band with a really sort of a
hold on.
an AC/DC kind of
a rock and roll band.
Yeah.
Yeah, like an early 2000s rock and roll
then
band.
they disbanded, and so I don't even know what the
Are you gonna be my girl?
that's the
There
one.
you go.
You know, with the strong guitar opening.
Are you gonna be my girl? Yeah. We
Anyway,
sound just like them.
you remember them. Anyway, they're coming to Kelk shows, and I'm going to be there on Wednesday.
Theatre Olympia.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're going to be at the opening of the Kristen Island show.
Yeah, the Knuckles, the Kristen Island story. It's a one-man show, and Kristen Island, the former Montreal Canadian, will be recounting his life journey with a focus on his struggles through addiction and subsequent recovery. And I saw Chris last week. I went down to the venue and took a few pictures and talked to him about rehearsal, because Chris and Vittorio Rossi, who's the director / producer, have been just grinding it out in rehearsal. Like, they're working hard on this. This is going to be really good. 2 shows are already sold out, but you can still get tickets for Friday, May 30th or Thursday, June 5th at the Lorenzetti Foundation website. The proceeds are going to go to benefit the mental health initiatives that are supported by Barry Lorenzetti and his foundation. The venue is the Maison Principale on, I think it's De Couvent in St. Henry. I'd never been there before.
It's a beautiful, spot.
It really is. Yeah. And I said to somebody when I went to rehearsal, I said, why here? Oh, because Barry owns it.
There's that.
Yeah. Barry saw the building and liked it, so he bought it. Yeah. The news conference to launch the promotional campaign for Knuckles was held at Da Vinci on Bishop Street, one of the best Italian restaurants in the city.
Yeah.
And I said, I think it was Ziggy I was talking to, who's friends with Barry Lorenzetti. And I said, wow, pretty cool that Barry hosted everybody here at Da Vinci. And Ziggy said, well, he owns it. If Barry likes something, he buys it. That's nice. How much? $17 million. Okay, you got change for $20 million? Forget it. Keep it.
And that... I was thinking last night, the Kristen Island show, if you're wondering about it, it's Chris's personal story about his journey through addiction. from the bottom up.
Yeah.
And I've seen Chris talk about that at a fundraiser a couple of years ago. Jess and I were at that I was hosting, and I was telling Sue
Dombrowski,
right, who runs things for Barry.
Yeah.
We were talking on the phone yesterday, and we were talking about it. And I said that night at Saving Station Foundation, we were in a large hotel, ballroom, and I don't know, there was maybe 400 or 500 people there, and he's so compelling. All you could hear was the air conditioning.
Yeah.
There was just a between
that happens
pauses.
to me, and when I'm doing stand-up comedy sometimes.
It's really, really powerful, and I thought this would be a pretty good thing to take your kids to, not your tiny children.
No.
Not like 8-year-olds, but if you've had the conversation with your teenagers about drug usage and whatever, this is a harrowing story, beautifully told by a wonderful man.
Yeah.
And you can go online and find what's available. Ted's going to the opening night, which is
Tonight, as in Wednesday night.
Yeah, red carpet, and you're going to be with the stars.
Apparently
Ted.
so, yeah. It's going to be an A-list crew.
Yes.
And me. Mm-hmm. You can get ticket information on the Lorenzetti website, fondationlorenzetti.org, or just Google Knuckles, the Chris Nyland story, and you'll be guided there. It really is going to be something else, and you're going to be emotionally, if you go, you're going to be emotionally drained at the end of the evening, but in a good way.
I'm anxious to hear your review on the episode that we will have for you next week.
Yeah, hope I don't cry.
You mean at the show?
Well, anywhere. Okay. Randomly.
Okay. Other entertainment news. Barry Manilow is in town on Friday.
I saw that.
Jess wants to go.
Really?
So if we can get tickets, I may have a review for you next week.
Holy smokes.
What?
I thought he was dead.
Well, he looks it.
His face.
Yeah. His face no longer moves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's at the Bell Center.
Really?
Yeah. So that gives you an idea of his popularity.
Is it one night only?
One night only.
Yeah.
Barry Manilow this coming Friday.
How are all his fans going to get up those stairs?
That's a good question.
That's a good question. Well, my wife is very young and she's a fan, so I think he spends.
She's an old soul, though.
Yeah.
Jessica is an old soul. She's young.
Yes.
Her age is young, but she's an old soul.
Yes. I love Sam Roberts. He's such a good guy. Was such a good friend to the program when I worked on the radio. And really is just a terrific, nice man. Sam Roberts and his band are going to be at Pantelis on June 4th with Metric and Housewife. And I wanted to mention Mike Campbell and the Dirty Knobs. That's the name of Mike Campbell's band. Mike Campbell played guitar for Tom Petty for 1,000 years. Wow. And the Tom Petty records that we all came to know and love wouldn't be Tom Petty records without Mike Campbell. The guy's an amazing producer, an unbelievable guitar player, and he's coming to the Rialto, which would be an amazing venue to see him in on Wednesday, June 4th. We even got a sniff from somebody about interviewing him, but never came
didn't work out, eh?
I guess we're not big enough for Mike Campbell. Okay. But I thought I would mention that.
That's
anyway.
fine. Dirty knob.
And get a load of this. How's this for get your blue hair out and your nose ring on from your early high school days? Simple Minds, Modern English, and Soft Cell.
Wow.
All on the same bill at the Bell Center on the 17th of June. How about that?
Yeah, Soft Cell's not blue hair and nose ring.
No.
That's way before that. Soft Cell is put on your NFL jersey and tuck it into your Jordache jeans.
There you go. That's a good look.
Because I used to do that back in 1980.
They had their biggest hit was the song that I hated the most.
Tainted Love?
Tainted Love.
Yeah.
Clunk,
I don't
clunk.
even think that was their song. I think it was a cover, if I'm not mistaken.
And I love Simple Minds, and I was never a modern English fan, but that's a new wave.
Yeah.
Retrospective.
Yeah.
Retrospective if I've ever
Is
heard
it ever?
one. Yeah.
Oh, you said Simple Minds. I was thinking Simple
Minds.
Plan.
No, Simple Minds.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Don't you
Yeah.
forget about me.
Yeah, that's like 40 to 45 years ago.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. Yeah, it was the early.
We were in our early 20s.
Yeah. It was the early days of our radio careers. Anyway, that's pretty cool, Bill, if you hadn't known about that. And Blue Rodeo caught my eye because Blue Rodeo are going to be on the TD stage at the Jazz Fest on the 27th of June at 9:30. That's a free show.
They're not exactly jazzy.
No, but
They're more country rock, I would say.
But
if anything.
it's typical of the Jazz Fest, and I've always loved this about Jazz Fest in Montreal. They try and broaden, they broaden the audience, and they bring in different, they don't
Jazz Festival by name.
they don't bring in Metallica, but they do things like Blue Rodeo.
You know who they should?
That's a free show.
You know who they should bring in? There's a band called Jazz Sabbath.
Okay,
and they play combo versions like stand-up bass, piano, and drum versions of Black Sabbath songs, and the pianist is Rick Wakeman's son.
No shit,
Adam Wakeman,
wow.
And they're really, really good.
Yeah,
like if you like jazz trio combo,
that's cool.
They're so good.
Rick Wakeman from Yes fame.
Yeah. His son, Adam.
It's
and
very
boy,
cool.
can he tickle the ivories.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And they play songs like Fairies Wear Boots and Paranoid. And it's like
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really good. Jazz Sabbath. Check it out.
June 26th, the night before Blue Rodeo are on the TD stage, Mavis Staples is coming from the Staples Singers. Remember the Staples Singers?
Sure.
I'll take you there. We're doing too much singing. And other names that caught my eye that are coming to Jazz Fest, Jeff Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum, the actor, now has like a bit of a jazz career. He's a pianist.
Really?
Yeah. Ben Harper, Madeleine Peyroux, I love her. She's an unbelievable, great, a beautiful vocalist. Holly Cole is coming. Anyway, I thought I would mention it because summertime in Montreal, the Jazz Fest runs, I think from the 26th of June to July 5th.
Jazz Festival's got to be like 35 years old by now.
More than that, I think.
Is it? Yeah?
Yeah, I think so. We should Google that.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
One day we will.
Yeah, I think it is more than 35 years.
I'll find out.
Pantelis, our crack producer, is going to find that out for us. I thought we would, it's Montreal, it's summertime.
Yeah.
Allons-y, let's go. Some things to do, especially when it's free. The free stage.
Mm-hmm.
Years active, 1980 to present.
Wow.
How about that?
So 45 years.
There you go.
Look at that.
Also, it holds the 2004 Guinness World Record as the world's largest jazz festival.
Wow.
There you go.
And you know what's funny? Not funny, haha, but it's funny, nice. Oftentimes when I listen to people being interviewed, like I was listening to a podcast with Chris Bodie, or Chris Bodie, if you like, famous trumpet player, probably one of the world's most famous trumpet players. He played with Sting for years, and he was being interviewed. And when he mentioned Jazz Fests, the two Jazz Fests that came out of his mouth were Montreux, which is very famous in Switzerland, but Montreal came first. He mentioned Montreal first.
Nice.
International renowned. Oh, there's my water. I was looking for my water.
We should talk about Accutech.
Yes, we should.
Yeah, if you're not
Speaking of
going to the Jazz
electricity,
Festival, maybe you want to just sit by the pool. You need to get your pool hooked up. Accutech can take care of that, among many other things.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they
Okay.
take care of pool hookups, designing backyard spaces that might need electrical work
didn't
done.
know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Another thing Trish from Accutech told me is that people don't necessarily like to hear this, but spring is a good time to think about heating for next winter season. She says any major heating changes, like going from oil to electric, should be addressed And during the spring and summer months is the best time to do that. We've also mentioned before that they're looking to partner with people in other trades because if you're doing a construction project, there are going to be carpenters, there are going to be electricians, there's going to be possibly a welder, there's going to be a roofer. And if you get a team together and working together, you're going to get better results. So if you are in one of the other trades and are looking for an electrician to partner with, Accutech would like to hear from you. Accutech, ACUTECH.ca, another family-run business that sponsors the podcast, and we are grateful for that. I was listening to a podcast by a fairly significant comedian, and when it came time to do his commercials, if Accutech was one of his sponsors, he'd go, Accutech, you need to set up your pool, or if you need to do some electrical work, or if you're in another trade, they can partner with the Accutech.
Thanks.
And I thought to myself, I'm glad we don't do that.
Yeah. Well, I've said this all, for the last few years. The podcast doesn't happen without our sponsors.
Yeah.
And
maybe this guy's podcast would still happen without his sponsors because he blew through that and rushed through it like it couldn't be more obvious that he didn't care.
Yeah.
And he just wanted to get back to talking about whatever he was talking about.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I was telling somebody last week when we got to talking about my association, our association with family-run businesses. And, the connection with a lot of these people runs long and deep. And, excuse me, we care about the message that we send out for them like they care about their clients. And that's one of the things that we immediately loved about Accutech was Tom's story of his dad getting started in 1995 and how the inside of the company has a real family vibe.
Yeah. I also I don't know if you knew this, Pantelis, but his dad, before he got to Montreal, he escaped from behind the Iron Curtain. He was in Slovenia when the former Yugoslavia was on the other side of the Iron Curtain. And he got out by skiing across the Slovenian Alps.
Wow. There's a movie in there somewhere.
Isn't there, though? Isn't that great?
Yeah. I immediately think of James Bond.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah, that's really something. And speaking of families, we may as well say hi to the Mersons. The Mersons, I'm still smiling about my last visit there, which was probably 3-4 weeks ago now when I went to get my summer tires on. And they were sad I didn't store my tires there anymore because now I've got a cabana and lots of land, and I can keep the tires up at the house.
They wanted to snuggle with your tires.
I think
they wanted to spoon your tires.
This is one of the services they have that I always loved because there's no schlepping of the tires.
Yeah.
You can just you bring your tires, or you bring your vehicle there, and your tires are already there because they've stored them for you, and super reasonable prices and really amazing work. When you take your car in to have your summer tires on, they'll tell you, hey, we looked at the oil, we looked at the shape of your tires, the shape of your brakes, everything looks good, you're good to go. Or as Ted has pointed out before, they'll say, your brakes are probably fine till the fall. We might want to address that in the fall. So safety is a big part of what they do. And you don't have to bring it in to have your tires put on. If you've got like a clicking noise, a hesitation in the end, the kinds of things that happen on cars where you go, shit, I don't know what's going on. They'll look after it for you. They can take care of every model of car.
Yeah, I'm going to go see them in the next few weeks to make sure that I'm good to go for a summer road trip. I'm going to drive down to New Brunswick to see my mom.
Nice.
And my car is a 2013.
Yeah.
And on a day-to-day basis, it runs just fine. But if I'm going to go that far, I don't want to have something happen like in the woods between Rivière-du-Loup and Edmundston, So I talked to Celso about that, and he said that's one thing you can remind people. A lot of people, because of what's going on with the tariffs, and people are mad at America. He said a lot of people are going to be doing road trips and staying in Canada this year. So if you are, you can go to Merson and make sure that your car is in good working order for a road trip. They'll check fluids, brakes, tires, batteries, all the things that need to be checked. And also, while I'm thinking of it, up until May 31st, and that's this Saturday, if you need new summer tires, they're offering rebates of up to $125 on select Yokohama tires until this Saturday.
487-5545, just past the corner of Saint Jacques and Cavendish, Merson Automotive. I see there is a picture of you with a blazer on.
Oh, look at me.
Doing stand-up comedy.
In front of an empty table. Look at that. That was the only empty table in the place. Two girls came in and sat in the front.
Yeah?
And then they left. Yeah, that was the show I mentioned in Hudson.
Then they left?
I don't know why.
During your set?
No.
Okay.
No, even before the show started.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
they just came in to have a beer and
okay.
and a bite to eat and be on their way. So, yeah, this was the show in Hudson at Cardinal Brewing, and I'm doing another show this coming Sunday night, June 1st at Duke and Divine's, the Irish pub in Beaconsfield.
Yeah. I see you brought a clip.
I did bring a clip, yeah. I want to plug me. So, so I was talking about the Kentucky Derby and the fact that the horse names are so random.
Yeah.
And how you could even assign a theme to the horse names. So this is what I've got. You could take trending topics on social media and name every horse in the race after that, and the call would sound perfectly normal by horse race standards. They're at the post, and they're off. Reciprocal Tariff jumps into an early lead, followed by Orange Man Bad, Russian Asset, Trans Activist, Climate Catastrophe, and Open Borders, sixth along the rail. Zionist Kennedy and Free Palestine battling for ground in the field, and undocumented refugee picking up the rear. Down the stretch they come, and Orange Man Bad surges into the lead, but here comes Fuck Wayne Gretzky, hard on the outside. It's Orange Man Bad and Fuck Wayne Gretzky neck to neck. And at the wire, it's Orange Man Bad, Fuck Wayne Gretzky second, and Vachier Polyev third to the trifecta. Folks, you've been terrific. Thank you very much.
Hey, that was your closer.
That's right.
Nicely done.
Yeah, went out on an applause break.
Very nicely done.
So there will be more of that foolishness this Sunday evening, June 1st at Duke and Divine's in Beau Repair Village in Beaconsfield. That's part of West Island Comedy. Nazir Khan puts that on, and I have no idea where you can find that on the internet, but if you Google West Island Comedy, I'm sure it'll come up.
This is something, both guys in the room, Pantelis and Ted Bird, this is something I think about all the time. I have such admiration for you guys because you know how nervous like hell I get on stage in front of people. And stand-up comedy is one of those things that looks like, oh yeah, my brother's funny, he could do that. And people don't realize what a craft it is. It's like a good carpenter. You have to, measure twice and cut once for many, many, many years before you've got a real solid 8 minutes.
Well, Pantelis has been doing it for a long time. I've only really started to craft sets in the last couple of years since I've been forcibly retired.
Yeah.
And so I've still got a long way to go, but it's like anything else. The more you do it, the better you get at it, the more you relaxed you become on stage. But guys like Pantelis and Sugar Sammy, who've been doing it for a long time, when I watch them do crowd work, like that's something that I don't do a lot of because I just don't have the chops and the confidence for that yet. So that's kind of what I'm going to work on next.
Shut up, Four Eyes.
Yeah.
It's like my crowd work.
I should bring you with me. You can just stand beside me, and when I need someone to do crowd work, tear over to you.
Tag.
How did you get started, Pantelis? How long did it take for you to craft that 8 minutes that we're talking about?
So I started in April of 2012. I got started because I wanted people to stop harassing me. I didn't want to do I love stand-up, but I thought I wouldn't be a good stand-up. I thought my jokes only work with people that know me. So I told my friends, if I do the open mic at the Nest and they see that I'm not funny for the general public, will they stop asking me to do stand-up? They agreed. I went and the opposite happened.
Wow.
Everyone loved it. I got hooked. And then my first paid gig was October of that year.
Yeah.
So I moved really, really fast up the ranks.
That's
and then
great.
I never looked back.
Now, you've got more than 8 minutes.
More
than 8 minutes. Like you headline. When you headline, how much time do you do? 35 to 45?
An hour. In French, it's about an hour 15.
Wow.
Yeah, I did a 45 over the weekend in Lévis, Quebec.
The reason I say 8 minutes is because all of the comedy documentaries I've watched over the years, people like Jerry Seinfeld and, people who are, masters at it, they all refer to that solid 8 minutes because I think that was what you needed to go on Carson.
Yeah, and also for us, if you question the 5 or the 7 or the 11, depending on where you're performing, you need that so you can be featured at a club.
Yeah. And I don't know, I think it was in the Seinfeld documentary. I don't know if you guys remember this, where he's kept all of his notes and his writing on like legal pads or whatever pads he uses. And they closed down a street in New York and they laid out all of the things he's written over the past 30 years or whatever. And it took up a whole city block. And I think it's in the Seinfeld documentary. I can't remember, but it was just terrific. And when I watch stand-ups or I watch you do that, you know, you forget how hard it is to, you know, make sure that you've got your ducks in a row and your set is ready to go. What is it? Is it one thought triggers the next topic?
I'm not sure. Maybe everybody does it differently.
Is it like memorizing lines in a play?
A little bit, but you know, sometimes you know, depending on the audience reaction, you might go in another direction.
Yeah.
Right.
My friend Suzanne came to that show with me on Sunday night, and she said to me she's seen me a few times, and she said to me, "You use that joke again. It's been 3 years. Get a new joke." And I was like, "But Suzanne, it works every time.
Yeah.
So, and this is a different crowd."
Yeah.
You know, and that's one thing that I haven't quite figured out yet, Pantelis. You know, how long do you recycle your material for?
It depends on what you're using it for. Like, if I'm running an hour and I'm doing that hour for a while, I'm going to have that material within the hour, and I'm writing new stuff for when I stop using it. But some people, it could be a few years. Some people, it could be
for me,
year.
every set is different. Every set I do is different, and it always has new. You know, there's always some new material,
right?
And then, you know, some material I'll use in one set at one show, and then I won't use it again, you know, for 2 or 3 shows down the road, kind of thing.
Yeah, it depends on what you're using it for, and obviously the gig. Some gigs you need to have really, really recent material.
Yeah.
And others you don't. They just want a tight set from you. And your jokes get better when you practice them more. You just have to be willing to actually adapt. If you're doing it the exact same way with the exact same tone, and then there's no point if you're using it for 3 years. It's got to evolve.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't. I when I watch, you know, guys who are really good at it like you guys, I always think of, you know, there's always that guy who goes, "I got a joke."
Yeah.
So 3 guys. 4 guys.
And
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Do you get this, Pantelis? Here's something you can use in your show.
All the time. No, the best is you could use this for one of your skits. And every time someone says it, I'm like, I'm not going to use whatever the fuck he's going to tell me.
You're the producer, Pantelis. Can I have a time check? I'm just curious.
Oh, yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
We are currently at the 59 mark.
Well, I like that. I like the podcast to be, I don't understand a 3-hour podcast.
Not a good idea.
I know Joe Rogan, 40 million people, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But I don't have 3 hours, you know? And one of the most successful podcasts on the planet is Smartless. And I think it's largely because they have all the greatest guests, because they know every famous person in the world, and plus a gajillion people listen to that podcast. But they always keep it to an hour and a bit.
Hour and change?
Yeah, an hour
we
and
usually
change.
come in at about between an hour and an hour 15.
Yeah, and I think that's
the sweet spot. I like to keep it. The second I see an hour, I start winding down because people don't have the time. And if you don't have you're not talking to like a Trump or a Trudeau, someone super interesting.
Yes.
No one's gonna cut it and be like, "I'll listen to the 3rd hour later."
That was the only one I listened to all 3 hours was when Joe Rogan had Trump on.
Well, that was
and I thought that was
fascinating.
It really was. It was you know, whether you love or hate Trump, I thought it was a really interesting podcast.
The thing, if you can hold the audience, I guess, for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought we would just read a couple of letters.
We got letters.
A couple of things in the mail this week. Hi, Terry and Ted. I hope this email finds you well. Just wanted you to know that I, like so many Montrealers, I'm a fan since the yesteryears, and now with your podcast, of which I've been listening to religiously since the very first episode. Happy you're back. I also wanted you to know that what you've been saying about Linda and the folks at Robert Richer Jewelers is all true. Since Christmas, I've bought over a dozen of the suicide bracelets and have been treated just the same as if I was buying gold. I will definitely be going back to buy myself something in gold. Again, I am enjoying the podcast due to its Montreal and Quebec agenda, not to mention the two peas in a pod that you guys are. Question. I missed Ted's revisionist history from the radio days. Will that come back, do you think?
You know, she's like the third or fourth person who's asked that, so maybe I might have to give that some thought.
Take care. Kind regards, Elisa Bisante. Hope I'm pronouncing that right, Elisa. Thank you very, very much for that note. I appreciate that. Excuse me. Here's one. Hi, guys. We have a Homer's on the South Shore in Greenfield Park. I asked, and everything is made on site, just like you and I guessed.
Homer's Donuts.
We were talking about Homer's Donuts. They're not a sponsor, but they're a Montreal company that's hitting a home run, and they're doing it the old-fashioned way. They're working hard and making fresh things with great ingredients. And she sent us a picture of the donuts that she bought.
Oh, boy. Look at those.
Yeah, how about that? Have you guys watched Drops of God yet? Really worth it. Mobland, the best thing ever.
Oh.
Love the podcast, Gina. And here's one more. Hi, guys. Just want to send you a quick note. Again, I can't say enough how much I absolutely love the podcast. I so look forward to it every week. Keep up the great work. I know this isn't one of your sponsors, but 2 weeks ago, I used Bust-A-Move to move me. I hadn't moved in 20 years, and I remember, Terry, you spoke of them so highly, so it was a no-brainer, and I called them. I wasn't disappointed. They were fantastic from beginning to end, and I would not hesitate to refer them. Lori, that doesn't surprise me. I know John and the people at Bust-A-Move, and I use them a bunch of times. They're amazing. And she closed the letter by saying, last week I left Laval and I drove to Robert Richer Jewelers. I had several items that needed repair that had been sitting in a box for many years, and I didn't have a jeweler that I knew or trusted. They're not high-value items, but sentimental ones, and you guys are right. I didn't feel intimidated at all walking in there. I was served by Carol, and you're right, Ted. She's an absolute delight, and I love her purple hair. Thanks again. Take care. That came from Lori Etter. Thank you, Lori. I appreciate that. And just so you know, I emailed John from Bust-A-Move to let him know that you were happy, and he was absolutely thrilled about that. Go to terryandtedpodcast.com. You can send us an email there, or if you can't remember it,
Standing by the podcast at gmail.com is the email address. Standing by the podcast at gmail.com.
Before we get to things we've been watching and whatnot, I guess we should say hi to Robert Richer Jewelers. They got two shout-outs there in some of the mailbag that came in this week, and I finally got my watches, my stroopwafel, and the chocolates.
That stroopwafel's pretty good, eh?
Oh, Jesus, Murphy.
Is it gone already?
Came with me to Vancouver that
Oh,
did.
really?
Oh,
eh?
yeah. It was like, oh, just have another piece of that.
Yeah.
Have another
Yeah.
piece of that. Yeah, it was amazing.
Pierre brought that back from Antwerp.
Yeah.
Along with the Mad Chocolates.
And can I say, while I was in there, I picked up a birthday gift for Jess.
Oh, nice.
And she was absolutely thrilled. Linda and Carol both helped me. And Pierre talked to me about the design and the chain. And it wasn't an elaborate, it wasn't, holy shit, that's unbelievable.
Was it for her birthday? Because her birthday was this past week,
yeah,
right?
Just this, yeah. I didn't do a good thing. I Jess celebrated her birthday on a flight back from Vancouver. It just so happened that the wedding that we really had to go to and really wanted to go to, it's you probably know this. She's not my niece, but she's my niece. You know, my buddy Quentin's daughter, Vanessa.
Right.
I've known Quentin since we were in high school, and I've known his kids since they were in diapers.
So not a wedding you could skip.
No, and didn't want to skip. Vanessa got married in a beautiful setting at the Vancouver Rowing Club in Cole Harbor in downtown Vancouver. The sun was shining, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful evening and a beautiful occasion. We were glad to be there, but it did ruin Jess's birthday. So we're going to...
I wouldn't say it ruined it. I'm sure it didn't ruin it for her.
But,
she was just happy to be with you.
Yes, I think so too. And she probably...
Sitting in a business class seat going, thanks! You ruined my birthday with this trip to Vancouver in business class. You bastard.
Anyway, we're going to make up for it this weekend. We're going to have a little gathering. And that's off topic. That's the kind of thing that you'll get when you go to Robert Richer Jewelers. And you're really, I don't know, when I'm buying a gift for Jess, I hesitate all the time. I'm not sure. They were so helpful and showed me like 100 different things in different price ranges. It's just such a nice experience when you go to Robert Richer Jewelers.
Terry and I will be at Robert Richer Jewelers on Saturday, June 7th for a meet and greet. We'll be there for a couple of hours, I guess in the afternoon.
I said noon to 2.
Okay, there you go.
I thought noon to 2 was fine, or we can move it till 11 to 1. You and I will have a meeting, I guess. But June 7th, we will be there. If you're in the neighborhood, we'd love to see you.
So it'll be a meet and greet, and they'll be they're going to have a sale, surplus inventory sale.
A bit of a clearance for them.
And here's some late breaking news. Linda's going to order Homer's Donuts.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
So there's a reason to come right there. That's all the reason you need.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Robert Richer Jewelers at 309 Dorval Avenue in Dorval, just across from the Gorgonzola.
Where you can park and walk across the street.
Yeah.
I jaywalked when I was there last week.
I jaywalk all the time.
Yeah.
Dorval Avenue's not that busy.
Yeah, it's not that busy. Yeah. You have to, if you park at the Gorgonzola, you got to jaywalk. Robert Richer Jewelers. Thank you, Pierre. Thank you very, very much. They were very, very kind to me. Okay, so I thought we would mention a couple of things that we've been watching on the plane, because what else are you going to do on the way to Vancouver? I finally got around to watching A Complete Unknown. I hate Bob Dylan. I don't hate Bob Dylan, but I've never been a fan.
No, I've never been a fan.
Never been a fan.
Yeah, vastly overrated, in my opinion.
Never thought he could sing. Great poet. Never thought he could sing.
And not a pleasant person.
Not a pleasant person.
And that from personal experience.
Yeah, and treats his fans like shit, in my personal opinion, when you play with your back to the audience and you don't talk to them and they don't know what song you're singing. Anyway, A Complete Unknown is the story of him arriving in New York, meeting Pete Seeger, meeting Johnny Cash, meeting Joan Baez. And the film is really, if you're from an era, like if you remember the 60s, you're going to enjoy this film. It's really beautifully shot.
Who's the director?
Can't remember.
No.
The acting is just stunning. Timothy Chalamet and Ed Norton and an actress named Monica Barbaro, they all learned how to play guitar and sing.
Wow.
Like, it's astonishing. Like, Ed Norton is so much, like, you just don't see.
Who does he play?
Pete Seeger.
Yeah.
The folk artist,
Yeah.
This Land Is Your Land, that whole thing. And he learned how to play the banjo for this role. Like, I have such a...
You get paid extra if you learn how to play the banjo?
I don't think so.
No?
And Monica Barbaro sounds a lot like Joan Baez. Anyway, if you're from that era, and an actor named Boyd Holbrook plays Johnny Cash, the early days of Johnny Cash. If you like that era, like it's 61 to 65, and it's centered around his arrival in New York and his famous electric performance at the folk festival in Place. It's worth the watch.
So even if you're not a Dylan fan, it's a good movie.
I didn't go to see it in the theater, and I thoroughly enjoyed it on the airplane. Mm-hmm. That was going to Vancouver. And coming home from Vancouver, I watched Kevin Costner's Horizon, an American Saga. I don't know if you know the story of this film. Kevin Costner put all of his money, like all of it, in behind this film. And his idea was a 3-part film to be released once a year at the theater. It did not do well at the theater. I don't know if we're going to see part 2. I hope we do, because I liked it. It's got Sienna Miller, a lot of great actors that you've seen before, and it's shot in Montana and, Like it has this big sort of open Western, old style Western, John Ford kind of thing feel to it. Really kind of odd 3 separate stories. But if you like Westerns, you will like this film.
So do you think that got into his blood from doing Yellowstone?
Yellowstone and Dances with Wolves. I mean, he's always been interested in that era of American history, I think. And I don't know what he was thinking. In terms of putting all his money into
all of his money?
Well, yeah. Apparently, he's up to his eyeballs.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. He's working at Homer's Donuts.
Yeah.
Costner.
Anyway, if you love a good Western, and you've got a rainy afternoon, and God knows there's been lots of those lately. Horizon, an American saga with Kevin Costner. I kind of liked it. We're really loving Hacks. It's nearly coming to an end. It's been an incredible season. If you've never seen Hacks, you should be watching it. And I'm now pissed off at Mobland. How far ahead are you in Mobland? Where are you?
I'm right up to date.
Right up to date? Do you have any idea what the hell is going on?
Well, I mean, I know that they got busted and the cops raided the house.
Yeah.
And Helen Mirren and Pierce Brosnan got hauled away, and they were singing.
Mobland on Disney Plus. Yeah, Jess was ticked at me last night because I was like, this bloody thing, I don't know what the hell is. Why did he?
So they've lost you a bit?
Yeah, like why? Spoiler alert! If you're watching Mobland, why did Harry let her go?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah,
and if Helen Mirren's character, if what's the character's name?
Maeve.
If Maeve, if she betrayed Conrad,
and he knows,
and he was mad at her, but then at the end they're singing together.
I don't know. Must be a famous Irish song.
Yes, yeah.
Anyway.
I think it's probably an Irish song from the Irish Revolution,
right.
Or the Troubles, or the Irish. It was an Irish song against the British,
right?
Clearly,
right.
Because they're being arrested by English police,
right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I still think Mobland is some of the best television I've seen.
Oh, yeah.
This Guy Ritchie, you agree with me,
right?
Yeah, this is really, really terrific.
Now, what was the part, you mentioned last week that there was one part in an earlier episode where you and Jess almost fell off your chairs.
The cops.
That. Yeah.
I don't want to, if you're watching it, I don't want to give
with
it away.
Other buddies sitting in the corner.
Yeah. It's like.
What's his deal? I see. I haven't figured that out yet either.
Yeah, well, he's the rat. That guy plays a rat in everything he's in. It's a terrific actor. I can't remember his name.
Yeah,
but he's really like a like a little
he
rat.
reminds me of my last program director.
And when those cops had that meeting, and then it ended like that. That's what was that's the kind of stunner. And then the episode's over.
Right. And you have to wait a week.
And then you got to wait a week. Yeah. So anyway, we highly recommend it. So Ted even subscribed to Paramount Plus.
I did. Yeah. I'm thinking about, I gotta see if I can fit it into my budget. I might spend the extra $4 a month to upgrade to no commercials.
Okay, good. But you don't regret it, do you?
Big spender. No, I don't. Not a bit. No, I'm enjoying it. And I've also watched the first couple of episodes of Landman.
Yeah.
Which is really good. And I watched the first episode of Lioness last night, and I enjoyed that.
Landman is worth it just for Billy Bob Thornton.
Yeah, he's so good.
Just so good in it. And if you're a fan, and if you're not, you should go to season 1 and start Clarkson's Farm on Prime. I know this sounds crazy, but Jeremy Clarkson from the car show, the Fast Going.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was called. Very famous. Top Gear, yeah.
Fast.
We should call it Fast Going. Now, I think we're going to go with Top Gear. You don't like Fast Going? No, we don't. Jesus Christ. Jeremy Clarkson from Top Gear now, I think he made $200 million for Top Gear, And then he made another $125 million on the Prime show, which was called Fast Going. I think that was he did a show for Prime with the other two guys. Anyway, when that ended, Prime approached him and said, "Hey, we hear you bought a farm. We would like to do a reality show around it." And when somebody told me about it, I thought, yeah, watching farming, that'll be fun. It's really terrific. It's really, really good.
Hang on, the goat's on.
Yeah. Want to call it growing stuff? No, we don't.
That reminded me of when you couldn't remember the name of Jurassic Park and you called it Dinosaur Movie. You want to call it Dinosaur Movie? Yeah. What do you think, Steven Spielberg?
Yeah. You're not as sharp when you're only working one day a week.
No, anyway, but it's good for laughs.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's on Prime. It's called Clarkson's Farm. Highly recommend it. The new season is out. If you are a fan of Titanic, my wife Jess loves everything about Titanic. There's something on Disney Plus called Titanic, The Digital Resurrection. We watched it this week. It's absolutely stunning. They've done a digital recreation of the wreck, so scientists can actually stand in front of the wreck because the wreck is disappearing. It's literally being eaten.
It's disintegrating.
Yeah, disintegrating. Yeah. If you have Disney Plus, it's called Titanic, The Digital Resurrection. If you're a fan of Titanic, highly recommend it. And before we go, I want to say thank you to the staff at the Montreal Children's Hospital Foundation. They asked me to co-host actually, an awards presentation at the hospital for staff and sponsors last week. Thanks to Kim Fraser and Mary Claude Baribeau and all the staff at the Montreal Children's Hospital Foundation. I was really pleased to have been asked and honored to be there. And another thank you to Paul Cochran and the gang at Fairfield Inn and Suites. We got to stay in one of their renovated rooms before we departed for Vancouver. And Paul gave me a bit of a deal there. Appreciate that, Paul. It's a great spot to stay if you have an early morning flight. That's what we did. We were leaving very early Thursday morning, and we stayed at the Fairfield Inn right by the airport, and then you have like a 2-minute drive and you're at the airport. So thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. What are we forgetting? Anything?
Like, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating.
Tell your friends.
Yeah.
And Pantelis swears to God that people are listening to the podcast.
We are.
Right?
I know this.
Okay.
And we appreciate that.
And we do. Thanks to Pantelis for sitting in for Matthew, our producer, who's normally here. Thanks to you for downloading the episode. We appreciate that. Tell your friends. And do go to the website and do send us an email. We love your feedback. We answer most, if not all, of the email. And I know we get regular letters from regular listeners every week, and we appreciate that too. We'd love to hear from you, and we hope you'll download the episode next week. Bye, Ted.
Bye-bye now.
Standing by, the Terry and Ted podcast has been brought to you by the UPS Store Canada, delivering more for small businesses in Canada.